And welcome back. So we're on to day 3 of the 5 questions of volume 3 of the difficult GCSE set. As you can see here, we have a question that involves some 3D shapes. I won't say anything else, so have a go at the question and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so what do we have now? Depending on which GCSE you do, depends on whether the GCSE tells you the formulas or not. So typically it will do in a question like this. So I'm going to put them on the screen anyway. And if you didn't get this far, again, pause the video, have a go and come back to me in a second. IGCSE will give you the formula sheet. GCSE tends to vary on the questions. The point is, I know the surface area of a sphere is a general equation, and I know the volume of a sphere is a general equation, and both of them only depend on what R is. I have two spheres, sphere A and sphere B, and I know the only thing I need to calculate the surface area and the volumes are the radius. I also know ultimately I'm trying to find out the radius of the smaller sphere. So I'm just going to lay out all that detail in one go because I'm basically just going to have to combine these things in different ways. So as you can see, I've set up sphere A with radius A, set up sphere B with radius B, and I've basically just rewritten the formula. If nothing else, I'm just explaining what I'm doing, and I might even get a mark for this. Then read the question. So sentence 1 says the surface area of sphere A is 9 times the surface area of sphere B. Well, I've got the surface area of sphere A, I've got the surface area of sphere B, so I know 9 times the bottom one must equal the top one, so that is going to give me my first formula. Now, this is not atypical. Because I've got squares, it's quite nice to note the numbers 4 and 9 are easily to square root. So it's not always the case, but in this case, it's definitely going to help me a little bit, even though it's a non-calculator paper. Anyway, cancel out the pi, so divide by pi's and divide by 4, and I'm going to get that RA squared is 9IB squared, square both sides, and crucially, I have a relationship between RA and RB. In other words, RA is 3 times RB. Why does that matter? Well, it matters because in the next step, I know the difference between volume of sphere A and volume of sphere B is 117 pi. So I can set up another equation using my volumes that I've worked out on the right here. So in other words, the volume of A minus the volume of B is equal to 117 pi, and I've substituted A and B. Now at this stage you've got a few choices, and there's not a right way of doing it, as I say all the time, but I'm going to factorize out the 4 over 3 pi, and that just leaves me with RA cubed minus RB cubed equals 117 pi, and then I've got a 4 over 3 pi on the outside. Now I'm going to multiply both sides by 3 over 4 and cancel out the pi's, and that's going to tell me this formula here, to which I can then substitute RA in, remember that RA equals 3RB, and that's going to give me the formula I'm also going to get to, which is 3RB cubed minus 1RB cubed is equal to, remember 117 multiplied by the 3 over 4 cancels down to 351 over 4. I have a formula with one unknown. Now, these numbers don't look great. So secretly, what I'm hoping for is these numbers to cancel down and give me something quite nice. So let's continue and see what happens. So 3 cubed is 27. 27 minus 1 is 26. So 26r cubed is equal to something. Now, if I divide both sides by 26, again, secretly, I'm hoping that this is going to give me a nice number. So let's do that. So divide both sides by 26. RB cubed is equal to, now this was a calculator paper, but even in a non-calculator, this will be very feasible as a question. The point is I get 27 over 8. And right now, I'm feeling quite good about this question because I know the cube root of 27. I know the cube root of 8. That is 3 over 2. So in other words, RB is 3 over 2. You don't always get a nice answer. Sometimes you get a really difficult answer, especially with harder questions. But the fact that this is a nice answer gives me a little bit of confidence that I've got it right. Now, let's go back to the question. So what does the question want me to do? So the question says, find the radius of the smaller sphere. That's my RB. I found RB. I've answered the question. I've shown all my working and 4 marks to me. That is question 3 of 5 done. Well done if you got the answer to that one. That, again, is not an easy question, slightly more tricky in terms of its setup. Do like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you for tomorrow's question. Thanks all.